They don't want you to even be allowed to collect your own rainwater. Tie that in with how they've been going after gardeners, lemonade stands, and you name it. But Paul Joseph Watson only gets 1 day off a week, but he's working anyway on that day off, which is today, Sunday. He's got a new report on Eyewitness. An eyewitness at the Sikh temple shooting says there was a 4-man team behind it, even though the media have already made bold moves to tie it to a lone gunman to sell this story of the lone wolf, the returning veteran terrorist, the white Al-Qaeda in America going after these different minority groups. Right. And Obama's got his own statement about how great the Sikhs are. And
well, we showed you in USA Today how they automatically came out and said it was one guy, it was a white guy, it's obviously a hate crime. So USA Today is running with the hate crime narrative already. I just watched the video underneath Paul's, which is probably what he's alluding to, and the guy's saying that they have one guy down, there's 3 more inside with the hostages. So they're talking about a hostage situation.
They claim they already killed the shooter, but now eyewitnesses are saying there's others inside. They're getting that report ready. It's a short report, but we're going to play at least part of it here. Let me know when it's ready. But it reads, an eyewitness to the Sikh temple shooting in Wisconsin says a team of 4 men dressed in black carried out the massacre, contradicting the official narrative that a lone gunman was the culprit. And this is just like the Batman massacre.
Exactly.
The witnesses all said, hey, I think there was another shooter. I saw somebody. It looked like someone opened the door. We saw another gas mask. Is this what really happened? But no, the police chief has to come forward and say, it's one guy. Everybody be afraid of those individual lone people out there with paramilitary gear ready to kill everybody.
I only saw one witness say it was one shooter, and it was a Fox News report, and this guy looked like an actor, the way he was crying. He pulled up the ticket and said, this is my ticket stub, and he said, out of the blue, he goes, and I just want to say, there was only one shooter. And then he goes back to crying how he's got this ticket stub and it's going to affect him.
Oh, yeah, they've always got people on the scene to sell the official story, but this is breaking news. We got the video from Paul Watson ready. He's working on Sunday. Let's go to that video right now.
Hey, it's Paul Joseph Watson with Infowars.com and more breaking news on these Sikh temple shootings in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. Of course, you remember the Colorado Batman shootings. Multiple eyewitnesses reported 2 shooters, and there were reports of gas canisters being thrown from 2 different sides of the theatre. Then, of course, the original police report said that they were looking for 2 or more shooters. Well, it's happened again. An eyewitness to the Sikh temple shootings says that a 4-man team dressed in black carried out the massacre. And this is a clip on YouTube that I've just seen here. So we're going to play this clip. Listen very carefully to what this eyewitness says about the shooting.
We have our temple service every Sunday. Starts around 10:30, and usually goes in the afternoon, and around 10, between 10 and 10:30, 4 white males who were dressed darkly, dressed in all black clothing, came in and opened fire on our congregation.
So he said between 10 and 10:30, 4 males dressed in black, who were dressed in black. Notice the words he uses. He didn't say was dressed in black like it was one guy. He said between 10 and 10:30, 4 males dressed in black came in and carried out the shooting. Now, of course, the police are saying that it was one guy that he was shot dead. But already, hours after the incident, we have eyewitnesses once again contradicting the official narrative that's all being shaped around the notion that this guy was again, a lone gunman, angry white man in his 30s who committed a hate crime. So they're already gearing up to blame it on, you know, conservative, libertarian, angry white guys.
And we'll just leave it right there, but it's all at Infowars.com. Breaking news, eyewitness says 4 shooters on the scene. I know some of that audio was not completely intelligible for radio, but the video is up on Infowars.com. You can watch it in full for yourself, but we knew to watch out for the self. for this stuff, and we know it's probably going to be a total terror storm leading up to this election because that's what they always do. That's how the Obama advisors have been for 2-3 years now, telling us, look out, there's going to be another false flag attack. Look out, we need to exploit tragedies. Obama really needs a bounce in his public approval so we can get him reelected and hammer home gun control agenda, illegal immigrants, having total amnesty, and so much more. And here's all these shootings leading up one after another, unconnected. Another tragedy in Wisconsin, a tragedy in Colorado, the Trayvon shooting, meant to divide people against each other. Rob Dew, this is part of their plan.
It goes on and on and on. And I'm amazed that we've got this information out this quickly. This is really amazing that we've already got eyewitness testimony out there. 4 shooters. That's going to be hard to dismiss. How are they going to do that? That's what I'm anxious to see how the cops are going to do.
Well, people are catching on because they do it over and over again.
Right. And this guy looks calm. He was there. He saw it happen. He said 4 men opened fire. So I can't wait to see what their response is after this because they're already saying they're running with the narrative. It's one shooter, hate crime, one shooter, hate crime. And what we're going to see eventually is that it's not one shooter, it's a group, and it's probably a rogue government group.
But then it's on Drudge Report, and they link to the New York Times or something. NYPD sending cops to Sikh temples throughout the city as a precaution. So already they're saying police protection is your only salvation, your only answer, and they're going to go guard the Sikh temples. They're going to go guard every group until they've occupied this whole country in the name of false flag terror, in the name of the boogeyman under the bed, in the name of defeating and destroying your independence, your ability to live outside of the federal system until they have total power. They will never stop until they have total power. And when they have total power, they're going to kill until the blood runs in the streets because that's what tyrants have done throughout history. And using the tools of the 20th century, they've done it even more. And propaganda is one of those tools.
Right. And what's crazy is after they do this and they run out of cops, they're going to go, oh, now we got to send National Guard out. Now we got to send TSA out because we don't have enough people to cover every place where more than 5 people gather, which is supermarkets, train stations, bus stations. Airports is already covered, but you're going to see National Guard out in the front of the airports searching people as they come in. You're going to see more checkpoints on the highways, and this is all supposedly to these mass shooters, to these people who are going to be planning IEDs, returning veterans, people who we were taught that we had to bow down to, especially because they were going to war in the name of the empire.
And here again, you've got a temple, just like a church, another place they've said guns don't belong. People used to bring guns to church. It's part of self-defense. It's part of American culture. And that would stop things at a Sikh temple pretty much as equally as a Christian church or any other place of worship. This is about disarming in America, learning to bow down to power. We'll be back after this. We're going to get into energy news. And again, Alex Jones is coming up. Stay tuned. We're going to keep an eye on these bastards. They can't do this to us. This is our country.
Sick of the globalist, eugenicist, control freaks at it.
We're back at Infowars.com, halfway through the broadcast. We're well into the second hour. Alex Jones is coming up on the other side of this break, and we're going to break down so much of this energy news. Austin is trying to sell off its share of coal, which provides a great deal of power here in Travis County and throughout Texas, as well as to the neighboring states, even Mexico itself. But first, we've got so much other news to get into. Rob Dew's going to break down GMOs. We've just covered the Syria Al-Qaeda deception. And of course, we have breaking news on the Sikh temple shooting. We're in a sense all over the map because this stuff is really happening and we are being attacked from all fronts. But Rob Dew, we had some more to talk about on the GMO front.
Right. And just because we're surrounded, we could shoot in all directions. So there we go. We got Kevlar tires now required to traverse spear-like GMO crops, and that's from Anthony Gucciardi. This is an Infowars.com article. It's on there today. It was posted today. It says the spear-like stalks harvested from GMO corn are absolutely wreaking havoc on the heavy-duty tractor tires. Described by one farmer as a field of little spears, farmers are now turning to Kevlar tires, which is bulletproof vest material, in case you don't know that. The stalks are so sharp and weapon-like they can wreck an entire set of wheels. So instead of a set lasting 5 or 6 years, they're down to just 1 or 2, and these tires are about $1,000 a piece. So you're looking at, these things are totally mutating. Who knows what they're going to be at, when they send this stuff to the landfill, they're going to burn this stuff off. who knows what's going to happen to it after, we're done eating it.
Well, you've got GMOs wrecking the entire ecosphere, but now farm equipment.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just limited to our bodies and to the bee population and to the general environment, like the genetically modified salmon, which is going to take over all salmon within what they said, 10 generations, 15 generations. I'll have to look that up. But that's another thing to worry about. They're going to start putting out these genetically modified animals, and they're going to start breeding with regular animals. And then that's when it starts happening. That's when you get the mutations 5 or 6 generations down the line that you weren't thinking about, those unintended consequences that we know happens when you go down that road where you start interfering with nature. And speaking of nature, let's go back to this energy situation that we're talking about with Austin. They're going to triple our prices pretty soon.
Look, we're a developed nation. We have learned to live with energy. We're in the modern world. People have air conditioning. They have electricity. We've got a lot of people dependent on government. We also have a lot of people, especially here in Texas, other parts of the Southwest and the free parts of the nation, that are still independent. And yet we're all on this grid for the most part. They don't really want people off the grid. That's a whole separate story. But the point is, Obama has said in famous clips that he wants to bankrupt the coal industry. They want to shut down so-called carbon-emitting things, all to save the earth, and green things, which has all been exposed as a scam. You've seen the resistance against global warming. You've seen how it's actually genocidal, how the threat itself is not the genocidal threat, but responding to it, clamping down on the economy will kill people in the developing world. When you shut down electricity here in America, it means old ladies on pension are going to freeze in the winter because they can't afford to pay their power bill. Or you always read about every year people who die because they won't turn on their air conditioner because they can't pay for it because the power companies jack up the prices 2 and 3 times in the summer.
Right. And then what you have them turning to is they're saying, well, we're going to replace coal with wind. That's what they're always saying. That's the next step. It's wind, wind, wind. They keep pushing wind. But when you actually look at wind and what the numbers are behind it, it's not the panacea. It's not going to cure all our ills. In fact, it's just going to create a whole nother infrastructure that we have to build on top of the existing power plants, because when the wind doesn't blow, you're not getting electricity. And in 1998, Norway commissioned a study of wind power in Denmark, which is one of the biggest wind-producing countries in the world, and they concluded it has serious environmental effects, insufficient production, and high production costs. And they have over 6,000 turbines, which produce electricity equal to 19% of what the country used in 2002, yet no conventional power plant has been shut down. The reason they can't shut down is when the wind's not blowing or when they have to take some of these turbines out of production. Well, you have to have something else to take over the load. So you still have to keep that other power plant there online. So this whole fictional reduction of CO2 thing just doesn't cut it.
Well, if the alternative energy worked like they say it did, it might be a pretty good option. But even if you get solar cells, you have to sell the power back to the city, and they still hold you hostage on the grid. But that's the larger issue of what we're talking about. This is a local Texas issue, but it is happening all across the country. Now, here's the news. Alex did a video on it. It's up on the Alex Jones channel on YouTube. You can watch it in full. It's also posted on Infowars.com. But Austin has a ballot measure to sell the city's share of the coal-burning Fayette power plant, which provides 1/3 of Austin's electricity. And it's going to be on the ballot in November, and they're trying to sell it off to save the earth. Environmental activists have been calling for it because even though it's cheap electricity, it puts out a lot of carbon dioxide, which plants breathe, which we need to sustain life on Earth. All the things you've been told on that front are a deception and lie. But as you begin to break through that, you may not realize the extent of the politics just with coal. Now, in Texas, coal provides more than 50% of all electricity across the state. It's shared with New Mexico, Oklahoma, I believe parts of Arkansas, parts of Louisiana, Mexico.